Guys, I just trained deltoids, walked through the whole thing, giving you practical application of the principles we just talked about, how to build muscle in the gym. I did a 4-part series, but today we went through a warm-up. We addressed asymmetries, meaning what happens when one side is the other. We talked about unilateral work. We talked about mechanical tension, which is what the series we just went through talked about. We also talked about progressive overload, also part of the series. We talked about intensity, what does really failure look like on a repetition. And then we also talked about the correct amount of volume and distinguishing that volume is not necessarily for a muscle group, a grouping of muscles, but that's per muscle within the muscle group. So for example, shoulders is a group of muscles. It has traps, it has deltoids, and we broke down how each of those muscles within shoulders need X amount of volume. So all this we went through in today's series. As going through the series, I was talking about how I was gonna show both delts and triceps, but the video ended up being like 25 minutes long. And I don't think you guys need to watch a 40-minute video where I explain both of the concepts. So if you like what you see today, comment below and I'll take you through another muscle group where I'll explain exactly the principles of building muscle in the gym. Again, mechanical tension, progressive overload, intensity, and volume. But enjoy the video. This is 20 minutes of me walking you through how to actually fucking train. Today, we're going to do a practical application of how to build muscle. I just finished up a 4-part series that talked about the principles of how to build muscle. And I thought today I'd really take you through my training and kind of have a conversation with you while I do it about practically how to apply all the principles we talked about. The first principle in that series, it was all about mechanical tension, then progressive overload, intensity, and volume. But today I'm gonna take you through a super quick shoulder and tricep workout where we really apply these principles and I explain to you what you need to do when you're training, starting with like warming up, why I'm doing the amount of volume I am, and to why I'm doing the level of intensity that I am with each and every exercise. I'm finishing up a mesocycle. That's a period of training. I usually do blocks of like 16 weeks or so, and I'm a little beat up. This is one of my last training Ds in this entire training block, and I definitely am starting to feel I'm getting really tired by like 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. I can feel like I'm a little bit beat up. Having said that, today's a really long day of work. I started to work at 6. I'm not gonna be done today until like 4:30. I have therapy tonight at 5 o'clock, so I was trying to be like, well, how the hell, I'm shooting content today. When am I gonna have fucking time to train? And I was like, perfect. I'll actually train and walk through this series we just did live time while actually filming it and getting my workout in. So I'm gonna start with some lateral movements and I'm gonna walk you through how I would really warm up. I've been doing somewhere around 20 to 25 pounds, depending on the amount of reps that I've been doing on this exercise. So to warm up, I'm gonna take about 1/3 of that weight. So I'm gonna warm up with about 10 pounds on lateral raises. And I think that's the first and most simple thing that people really struggle with is how do I warm up at the gym? The question you have to ask yourself is, do you have any shoulder pain? Do you have any past injuries, issues? Like for example, I have a partially torn supraspinatus. It's part of my rotator cuff. So sometimes I'll do band work before I train my shoulders or before I train my chest. So if you have something like that, you want to do the necessary stuff to address that and to work on things like mobility. So for certain people, like against the wall serratus raises, things like external rotation with a band, those are really good things to do. But if say you don't have any injuries, and for me right now nothing's really bothering me, you start with a lighter weight of your working set. So if today I was planning on doing lateral raises, my warm-up is simply going to be doing lateral raises with a lighter weight. And again, it's really dependent on the context, and that's the tough thing about fitness. It's all about context. There aren't really black and white answers. But if you don't have any pain, you can simply warm up with about 1/3 your working weight to start. So I'm gonna do some lateral raises here. A warm-up is just that. It's not intended to be challenging at all. I can literally talk to you guys while doing this, and it's intended to be. I can kind of just wanna keep good technique. I still wanna get mechanical tension, meaning I wanna feel the lateral head of my delt, but I'm not pushing myself anywhere near to failure on this. I'm just getting a nice easy 8 reps to start. You could do 8 reps, you could do 10 reps, whatever it takes for you to start to warm up the intended muscle and for you to start to feel the intended muscle and to make sure that nothing's hurting. Because again, if this hurts while you're doing it, do not do it. Do something else, do some mobilization, do something like foam roll the area. Like if you're doing pull downs and your lat hurts or your forearms hurts, foam roll your forearm your lats. Make sure that you have the muscle in a position where the first couple reps, they're not painful. Lower the weight. Don't go into a set with pain, because if you feel pain while training, you're definitely gonna feel pain after the fact. So for example, if I'm in the middle of working out and something hurts, it's really, really gonna hurt 6 or 8 hours later. Other side. And that's my first warm-up set of the day. Depending on how heavy something is, like if I'm doing bench press and let's say I do 100-pound dumbbells, I'll probably do a couple of warm-up sets. Something like this with lateral raises, I'm not gonna have to pyramid up so dramatically in weight, but I did something like 10 pounds for 10 reps or 8 reps approximately. Now I'm gonna move to 20 pounds and I'm gonna get 2 to 3 reps as a second warm-up afterwards. I'm gonna take about a 2-minute break in between sets. So if we really look at the whole concept behind warm-ups, you're gonna start with about third your working weight, and then you're gonna go to approximately like 66% of your working weight, do a little less reps, warm up again, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you take sufficient breaks in between sets. You're gonna want about a 2 to 3 minute break in between each set. It gets a little bit more complicated here because it's single arm, and so if I finish my left side, I can really wait about 2 minutes before I do my left side again. But obviously I'm gonna do my right side in between that 2-minute break. So I'm moving my stack to 20 pounds. I started with my left side. I always start with my weaker side. So my left shoulder is weaker, or if, for example, also too, it was more a priority. Like say, for example, my left bicep is slightly smaller than my right bicep. I always start with my left side because of that. So you start with your weaker side, or you start with whichever muscle is more of a priority for you to grow. My left lat is a little bit smaller. My left bicep is a little bit smaller than my right side. So I always start with that side first. We've got 20 pounds on the stack now, and I'm gonna get 2 to 3 reps. This is more challenging, but again, I'm not taking it anywhere near to failure. It's a warm-up set. It's intended to simply warm up my body and prep me. It requires a lot of recruitment of neurons. It's a neurological recruitment when building muscle. You want to be taking sets near to failure, but your warm-up sets, you're literally just warming up your body. That's the intention. Okay, I'm gonna hit my timer. Let me give myself a 2-minute break before I do my left side again. And we're gonna do those felt great. I'm gonna do working weight of 25 pounds today. And I have 5-pound increments to work with here. So I know I said like use 33% for your first set, use 66% for your second set. When I'm working with 25 pounds here, or 25 pounds, it's not like I could go 8, 16, 25. So I had to kind of round to get those percentiles. And that's how most machines are. Like if there's Kaisers where you can pressurize the exact amount, but typically you're going to be rounding to around 33% or 66% of the load that you're going to use for your working sets. And after a 2-minute break, I'm then gonna proceed to start lifting. The most important aspect, like we talked about in the series, is mechanical tension. You want to feel the intended muscle group, but simultaneously, you also have to use weight that is progressing over time. So it's very important. You have my training app, the Jacob Zemer app. It allows you to literally track the weight you're using and then use that each week to look at and then progress the weight. If you're not using my app, then you absolutely want to be writing down, keeping some sort of logbook. Like last week, I got 10 pounds for 12 reps on dumbbell lateral raises. So the next week, you can use 10 pounds again, but instead of getting 12 reps, you're getting 13 reps, because it's not enough to simply have mechanical tension. You have to progress and get stronger at these lifts in order to build muscle. For example, you can squeeze your biceps. You have mechanical tension in your biceps right now, but you're not gonna get bigger biceps by simply flexing your biceps. You have to put it under more and more challenging load. And that's the same thing we're doing here. I'm getting mechanical tension when I'm doing these lateral raises, but I also wanna make sure that week over week, I'm getting stronger. I'm at the end of my training block here. I can tell you at my height, I was getting about 18 reps with 25 pounds. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that right now. I'm pretty burnt out. I'm hoping to hit some PRs though on triceps because I still think I have some strength on there. But let's see, we're gonna try to get around 18 reps on this. I'm at 6. That's hard. 50. Oh, I'm so happy with that. That's 22 fucking reps. Whew. And I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of psychological fatigue. I've been training for 16 weeks, doing that every single week, fucking pushing myself harder. But I'm really, really happy to end a mesocycle with another what we call PR. That means personal record. That means I've never done 25 pounds for 22 reps again. Now what I would do is I'm gonna take my app, I'm gonna log into my app, cable lateral raises, 22 reps. And that's going to be the new personal best or personal record PR that I'm gonna try to break the next time I train. Or I'll make a decision to move up to 30 pounds. With stuff like lateral raises, your AC joint's really fragile. So I don't like to go with very heavy weight on this exercise. Higher reps is absolutely more fatiguing on your body. However, higher reps are associated, it's not mechanistic, but it's just a correlation. They're associated with less injury. You know, you think about it, you're driving a car, you're going 30 miles an hour. Okay, that's a big difference between driving 55 miles an hour. You start going 80 miles an hour, it's really easy. You like turn and swerve around a squirrel and suddenly you're off the road. It's the same thing as the weight gets heavier and heavier. You have to be so dialed in when you're driving or lifting that you don't get injured. So something like this, I'd rather stay with higher reps. But when we start getting around 22 reps, it might be time to go to 30 pounds and try to get that for like 15 reps as an example, and then progress that over time. And then when I get above 20 again, then we'll increase the weight. But I gotta get the other side now. I know I'll get 22, because remember, I started with my weak side. My right side's my stronger side. So I'm definitely gonna get 22, no problem here. Eight. Okay, so I started with my weak side. I got 22 on my weak side, and then I basically tried to match 22 on my strong side. I probably could have got 2 or 3 more reps on my strong side, but I always play to the weaker side. I don't want to have asymmetries. I want my left shoulder to be significantly stronger than my right shoulder. The only time you want to encourage asymmetries is if you're like a professional pitcher or like a college pitcher. Obviously then it's okay that your right arm becomes stronger than your left, your right shoulder becomes stronger than your left, because you're pitching. That's what you're getting paid, or that's what you're getting a scholarship to do. But for general population people that are not having like a sports specific purpose, you really want to try to maintain equal, obviously musculature because of aesthetics, but also equal strength between both sides. So you saw like my left side was like, oh. My right side was just like, boop, boop. I could have done 2 or 3 reps, but I held myself back because I want to make sure that they remain in symmetry to each other. I'm at about a 3-minute break here. Remember, we're aiming for 3-minute breaks or 2-minute breaks, but it's because I'm talking. So I'm gonna do my next set. I don't expect to get 22 reps again. I went all the way to failure. Let's see if we can get 18. Let's see what we can do. But I expect a big drop off between set number 1 and set number 2 when you're pushing the intensity as hard as I am, which is one of the principles we talked about in our series. Intensity, you want to be very, very close to failure. 1 to 2 reps to failure when you're lifting weights. Awesome. Really good. I'm not gonna talk for a minute because I'm just trying to get back into pace here. I'm gonna set my clock, take a 2-minute break, and then I'll explain volume to you. So far we've talked about mechanical tension, we've talked about progressive overload, we've talked about intensity, we've put into practical application the things that we talked about in the series by me showing you them while actually training. We also talked about asymmetries and warm up, which we got into a lesser extent in the series. All right, other side, 18 reps. Remember, we're matching it. Remember, it's gonna be easier on my right side. Boy. So we talked about volume in depth in the series. I would tell you there's a difference between a muscle and a muscle group. What do I mean by that? Your quadriceps have 4 muscles. They have vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, and vastus lateralis, the vasty muscles. There are 3 of those muscles. One's on the inside, one's in the middle, and one's on the outside. And then you have rectus femoris. There's 4 quad muscles. It's called quadriceps for a reason. When you say, this is the amount of sets that I do for my quadriceps, that's the entire muscle group. Whereas if you say, hey, this is the number of sets that I do for my rectus femoris, those are different things. Let me give you another example. Somebody says, oh, I do this many sets for my shoulders. Well, that's a lot of muscles. Shoulders is a group. There's front delt, there's lateral delt, there's rear delt, and there's trapezius, this muscle here. And even within the trap, there's upper traps, there's mid traps, and there's lower traps. So if you talk about the muscle group, it's very different than how many sets you do for a muscle within the group. Right now, we're training the lateral head of the deltoid. I would tell you, if you're gonna train your lateral head of your deltoid, you probably need 3 to 5 sets for that muscle within the muscle group, tops. Matter of fact, I really don't think you need much more than 3 if you're crushing it. If you do a pretty good job, you probably need 4. And if you're kind of fucking it up a little bit, meaning you're not going intensely enough, then you might need 5. You can see right now I'm clearly not mailing it in. I'm only gonna do 3 sets for my lateral raises because I am fucking working very hard here. So I'm taking 3 sets to failure. That's enough for that muscle within the group. But understand there's a very big difference between saying, hey, I'm gonna do 12 sets of shoulders. Sure, go ahead. It makes complete sense to me, but there's no way in hell you would do 12 sets for your lateral delt. That is a muscle within a muscle group. Just like when somebody says, oh, I'm gonna do 10 sets of back, makes complete sense to me. Back's a huge amount, a huge muscle group, or all the muscles within back is huge. If you wanna talk about muscles in the back, mid trap, lower trap, rhomboids, you could argue rear delts, even though it's technically shoulder, but you could say that's for your back. You've got lats, you've got spinal erectors. There's so many muscles in your back that if you said I'm gonna do 10 sets, that makes sense, but you wouldn't have to do 10 sets for just your lat itself. That might be somewhere closer to that 3-5 sets again. Final set of lateral raises. I'm gonna do a back off set. We did 25, I'm gonna drop down to 20. I'm gonna try to get near 20 reps again. I did a back off, I dropped down about 20%. Let's see how close we can get to 20 reps. Damn. Awesome day of training. Really happy with that. 20% drop. I would say for back off sets, you want to drop it down somewhere between 20 and 30%. Remember, I'm having to work within 5-pound increments, so you have to round to around that area, but I definitely dropped down exactly 20% because I was at 25 and I dropped down to 20. If I dropped down 30, I would have definitely expected to get more than the 22 reps I got in the first set. 25% would have probably put me exactly at the 22 reps. But again, I'm working in 5-pound increments, so I couldn't drop down to 25%. I either had a choice to drop down 10 pounds or 5 pounds, and the percentile there be represented. So I dropped down by 20% and I got 20 reps. Other side, little break. Whew. That's all I'm gonna be doing for my lateral head of my delt. And then we'll get into some triceps and we'll do a practical application of what the principles of building muscle look like when training triceps. All right, here we go. 20 reps. Nine, 10, 15, And that again was easy, but we want to play to my left side. We want to play to the weak side. We're going to take a little break. I'm going to have Monty stop shooting for a minute. I'm going to catch my breath, and then we're going to do triceps and talk about practical application of building muscle while training triceps. How long are we in?
21.
21 minutes? All right, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Let me talk right now. That's a practical look at building muscle. I just asked the videographer how long we've been shooting. It's a 20-minute video. I don't want to kill you guys with a 30-minute video where you watch me train triceps. So simply today, what we really looked at was practical application of training. We talked about mechanical tension. We talked about progressive overload, which means more reps each week. We talked about intensity, which you could see what intensity looks like. And we also talked about the volume. I only did 3 sets for the lateral HUD. My delt, if I was to continue to train shoulders, I'd probably now do something for my rear delts. I'd probably do around 3 sets for there, maybe 4 sets max. Then I do 3 to 5 sets for my front delt. And then I go into some trap work. All in, we'd probably be around 12, 14 sets to work my complete shoulders. But for that particular muscle, I only needed 3 sets. And you obviously, that's a sense of volume. That's kind of a wide consensus of exactly how to train guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this kind of like fine-tune what we've been looking at and talking about this whole time, and that you have a better understanding of how to build muscle. And this is a really practical look at it. Again, we're not going to show the tricep part because you guys don't need to see a 30-minute video about the practical application. This is a nice 20-minute walkthrough of all the principles we just talked about. If you like what you saw, please hit in the comments. Tell me, Jake, show us another example of practical application of building muscle. Thanks for tuning in. As always, if you like what you saw today, hit subscribe. My largest following is on Instagram. I have about 260,000 followers in there. I have about 70,000 followers on TikTok. I love shooting YouTube, especially when I get to fucking work out. So I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I get a sick delt pump, and at the same time, I get to film content. Thanks for watching today, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.